From Relay FM, this is Connected, episode number 40. Today's show is brought to you by Igloo, an intranet you'll actually like, lynda.com, where you can instantly stream thousands of courses created by industry experts, and PDF Pen Scan Plus from Smile, which is the app for mobile scanning and OCR. My name is Mike Hurley. Today I am joined by the editor-in-chief and the owner of my heart, Mr. Federico TG.
Wow, I keep getting upgrades.
Yep, I didn't even say the name of your website. I just needed to get, you are the editor-in-chief and owner of my heart, as well as Mac Stories.
Well, I've always wanted to be your editor-in-chief.
Mm-hmm.
Not as much as the owner of your heart, but I want to edit you. I want to
I could probably do with some editing, like right now. See, there are, every time we do the show, I feel like I need to keep making you more and more grand,
Mm-hmm.
So
I wonder how long this can go, But it's nice that you have these introductions for me. I appreciate it. Hey, Mike.
Hey, buddy.
How are you doing?
I'm good. It's just me and you today.
Yeah. Our American friend has been abducted by a group of Apple geniuses.
Mm-hmm.
So he's unfortunately unable to join us because they tasked him with having to rewrite the K-base.
Well, they saw his new series, this new K-base series that
Yeah.
Steven's doing, and they're like, we need to make sure we shake all this knowledge out of his head. So they've stolen him. And for a week, he's going to just be like mined for K-base information, and then maybe we'll get him back at the end of it.
Yeah, maybe. Well,
we'll see.
We'll see. So, Mike, you will have to do usually what Steven does, the follow-up.
Yes. So I'm going to take care of follow-up. We actually have some special edition extended follow-up this week. We're going to have Sam Soffes, the developer of Redacted, joining us in a little bit. So that's going to be a lot of fun. So that'll be some extra special follow-up, so you can look forward to that. But we do have our regular old follow-up first. In the phenomenon that is nose tapping, it continues to...
Phenomenon. I don't know if it's a phenomenon.
It is a phenomenon. It continues to sweep the globe.
Oh my god.
I keep seeing more people referencing it. I see more and more praise I receive every day, Federico, from the world. It's true.
Wow, okay.
And we're sent many links of people, when they find nose tapping referenced in other bodies of work. We did receive a tweet from Kim today, or a couple of days ago. It says that he's actually tried nose scrolling the Digital Crown. I do not condone this as a thing. I have used my nose to return to the home, but I don't like doing that. Basically, once you use your nose for one...
What did you do?
Sometimes, I want to go back to the home screen, so I've, pushed the Digital Crown with my nose. I don't like that. That is not...
With the side of your nose.
The thing is, once you have tried a form of interaction...
Yeah, sure.
Just go with all of them,
Yeah, I can see that, yeah. I mean, there's people like you. People like to do a lot of things with their nose, it seems.
Yep. And tapping your Apple Watch is the best thing you can possibly do.
I still think this is crazy, but I know that there's people like you out there.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like it's just you and, I don't know, a bunch of other guys. It's maybe at least 100 people, let's say, maybe even more.
Way more, but
sure. But let's say, I don't know, 1,000 people around the world do this kind of thing. You should start some sort of group.
I think Nose Tap Mania is into the millions now. But
sure, buddy.
But fine. Ben wanted to write in to clarify something. If you remember last week when you guys were saying that we were crazy because we drive on the left-hand side of the road,
no,
right?
It's not that you're crazy. It's that you're the only ones in the entire planet doing that.
There was something that Steven said, saying, oh, but you're closer to the central divide. And I was like, I don't really understand what he means. And Ben has written in to clarify, because he's actually put the thought into it that I couldn't muster. Obviously, our driver's sides are they're swapped, right?
Oh, yeah, sure, yeah.
Yeah. So, we drivers sit on the right of the car and we drive on the left.
Yeah, see, that's one of the things that I've always wanted to know from a British person, because it to me it's just natural to assume that the passenger seat is on the right side of the driver. So for people like you, like when you think of the concept of the passenger seat, you think of the passenger as being on the left.
Yeah, the front left. So
This is crazy. This is like Australian. People from Australia, they have Christmas and it's like summer. This is insane. This is like a basic difference in a very common like idea that people from two different countries can have profoundly different, representations of this idea. It's crazy to me. Like this is the stuff that I keep obsessing about. Passenger seats. That's a real concern of mine.
Whenever I'm in America, I always accidentally get in the driver's side of the car when I'm a passenger, and people look at me funny. What are you doing, buddy?
I want to drive.
Like taxi cab drivers give me an interesting, confused look. Regarding date formats, a few people sent into us this tweet, which is a quite a nice illustration. If you remember last week, we were talking about the month, day, year format that Americans use. Month before the day. This is like people sent us in. Somebody created this tweet a couple of days ago, basically showing that the parts of the world that use that format, so month and day, is just America. The rest of the world uses day and then month. Which makes me even more sad.
It makes it even better because they truly believe they are the chosen ones for this date format. It's just perfect. So let's Steven, let's make them believe that they're using the right format.
It just makes me sad.
It is amazing, honestly. Anyway. We're gonna get so many angry tweets and emails about, especially because Steven is not on the show to kind of guide us through American traditions. I feel like we're the Europeans can say this kind of stuff because Steven is not here. So hey, it's cool.
In regards to me and you were talking over, I say talking over, I think it was probably an argument about old apps and having them removed from the App Store, and quite a lot of interesting follow-up came through from this. So people that disagreed with me or agreed with me, or vice versa for you, about the way that apps should be displayed in the App Store after a certain period of time. And I think one of the best pieces of follow-up on a possible solution for this came from Nash, who said maybe instead of removing apps from the App Store, they go into like a section, like an archived section that's kind of like a graveyard. Because people were saying, like, if I have this old device, how can I get apps for it? And I mean, my feeling is, at a certain point, you just have to get rid of them, just like cut them out. And I know that you don't like the idea of that, so maybe there could be a place where these old apps go. Maybe you can only see them if you have an old device, or I don't know. But yeah, that could be an interesting way of doing it.
Well, it's like when you think about, for example, what Nintendo is doing on their eShop, they have sections for different consoles. And of course, the stuff for the 3DS and the Wii U is front and center in the eShop. But you can also scroll a bit and you get to the old DS, WiiWare sections. And those is old software. It's, no longer supported, but you can still browse. You can still see stuff. You can maybe you can still download stuff. So it wouldn't be too dissimilar as a concept. Of course, the newest stuff that is updated all the time for the latest iOS and OS X, of course, that kind of software is highlighted by Apple more, and you can easily find it. But what if I purposefully want to find an old app from 3 years ago that never received an update for some weird reason? I should be able to, and I think that having like a special buried section where you can find these old apps, it's a good compromise. And so thanks for the follow-up to Nash P should be the username. It's a pretty cool username actually. So thank you.
And then finally, in standard follow-up this week, Garrick wrote in about upgrade pricing on the Mac App Store and said, I've often wondered why developers don't release their application as the 1.0 and provide 1.x releases for free, as normal in most cases. But then when they have a big upgrade, why don't they add features in the upgrade as in-app purchase, effectively making the 2.0 version of the app as an in-app purchase from the 1.0 version? Doesn't have to specifically be called version 2, but you get what I mean. So basically, what he's saying is, why don't, like little features and bug fixes and stuff just as 1.x, but then when there's new features, why not do those as an in-app purchase? And Stephen wrote some notes here, which I think me and you both agree with, and I kind of want to go through this. So the problem with doing this sort of stuff is it can really make the code base quite complex, as you have to try and work out, the app can have, some users might have these features, some users might have these features, and it can make things quite difficult. And I think as well, coding an app to have features, like actual app features hidden behind in-app purchase, can make things quite difficult to do. It can be confusing for users. And also, if somebody wants to do a design change, like an overall design change, and a lot of the time, if you're completely overhauling your UI, that's a huge selling point, and many people see that as a time to go to a version 2. But how do you do stuff like that with in-app purchase? It doesn't really work so well. And also, one way that people thought that this stuff was going to get easier was by the ability to read read the receipts of stuff, like in-app purchase receipts or purchasing receipts. But this is still a problematic mess, as we know from some of our developer friends, and working that stuff out and being able to read who's purchased what and where, and doing restoring from previous versions. And when you go into an app and you restore purchases and stuff, all of that can still be an absolute mess. And whilst it seems like, in theory, a good thing to do, it is apparently very, very difficult to effectively pull off and make it work just the way that you would want.
Yeah, one major benefit of having a single version of your app on the App Store would be that you retain, as a developer, all of your rankings and your position in the App Store search. So when if you want to launch a new app, you get to start from scratch. So you don't have any reviews or rankings, and you don't have any, your position in the App Store search results is lower. So that's one argument for staying with just one version of the same app over time. But it gets crazy when you want to do upgrades, like major overhauls or UI changes, or maybe you want to rewrite the entire code base of your app, and you want to hide that behind an in-app purchase. It gets too complex and too complicated when you want to account for the different versions of what a user is using on his device, and what if the same user maybe uses the app on one device, doesn't unlock the in-app purchase on the other device. It gets really complex, and from a technical perspective, and therefore also as a final product on the App Store, it is easier and recommended to, if you want to start from scratch, if you have a major update to an app, to just have a new version on the App Store. And so I think that the solution would be to model some kind of upgrade pricing for companies like Omni Group, for example, kind of like a Complete My Bundle that works. So developers, including the Omni Group, have been trying to use Complete My Bundle to offer some kind of upgrade pricing, and they've run into into all sorts of limitations and errors and confusion. So it would be something like that, only done for upgrades for really expensive apps and for companies that want to keep the same customers over 3, 5, 10 years. And because it's not crazy at this point to believe that the App Store can go on for decades, because it launched in 7 years ago. So it's been quite a few years, and there's companies that want to do business with the same customers over and over, and definitely using in-app purchases to unlock new features of the same app, it's not going to work, I think.
And Joseph Rosensteel in the chat room has given another good part of this is another problem. The in-app purchase model like this for a paid app doesn't work for new purchasers, because you buy the app and then you have to go and buy more stuff, right? It's just not a nice way to begin your your time with the application. Like you buy it when it's like let's say it's at version 3 or whatever. You buy it, you go in, you buy it once, and then you have to buy like 6 different in-app purchases to get it up to the current version.
Yeah.
It just doesn't work very well.
I believe what the internet calls this type of model is paymium, which is an abomination of a word, but it exists.
Paymium.
Fair
enough. Pay me all the monies.
It's like pay and opium. It sounds like paymium. I don't know.
Sure. On that note, let's take a quick break, and when we come back from this break, we're going to be joined by Sam Soffes to talk about Redacted for the Mac. But this week's episode is brought to you by our friends over at lynda.com, the online learning platform with over 3,000 on-demand video courses to help you strengthen your business, technology, and creative skills. To get yourself a free 10-day trial to try it out for yourself, visit lynda.com, that's lynda.com/connected. Lynda.com is for people that want to learn new things. It's for people that want to learn new hobbies. It's for people that want to make things happen in their life. You know, maybe you are looking for a promotion. Maybe you want to fill some time that you have with a new hobby and it's something you've always wanted to learn for years and years. This is the stuff that lynda.com can help you learn. Maybe you want to learn Photoshop, right? But you want to become a designer, you want to learn Photoshop, you want to learn Illustrator. They have some incredible courses, like on these Adobe programs and apps alone. They have like a whole breadth of courses on all types of things, like the fundamentals of how to actually use the app, and they can teach you from like start to finish, basically, you know, like getting started and all like complex tools as well. But also, like, if you're thinking about that sort of stuff, you could think about some of the other fundamental things you might want to learn, so like typography and color and stuff like that. You know, once you start getting into design with Photoshop, you might want to learn a little bit more about that as well to help you bring out your best work. Maybe you're looking to develop your first app and you want to learn how to use Xcode. You want to learn how to develop an iOS app from the start. Or maybe you're getting into it right now and you're thinking, maybe I just go and learn Swift. And they have Swift programming first looks, and then they have how to build an iOS app with Swift. They have courses on all of this. And then once you've built a really popular and successful iOS app, you maybe want to bring it over to Android. They have courses on that. And then maybe you want to learn how to do marketing for your app as well. We're going to talk about marketing in a moment. Lynda.com, they can help you learn this stuff if you want. Their courses are taught by absolute experts who are really passionate about the stuff that they're teaching. You can stream these courses wherever you want, whenever you want, using their Android or iOS apps. You can also watch them on demand on the web as well. Their courses are structured so you can watch them from start to finish in order, or you can consume them in bite-sized pieces. You can watch them in any order you want, and you can make playlists and watch them with all different types of courses, and you can watch different chunks in whatever order you may wish to watch them in. Your lynda.com membership will give you unlimited access to training on hundreds of topics, all for one flat rate. Whether you're looking to become an industry expert, you're passionate about a hobby, you just want to learn something new, go ahead and visit lynda.com/connected. That's lynda.com/connected, and sign up for your free 10-day trial. Thank you so much to lynda.com for supporting this show and all of Relay FM. So we're now joined on Connected by Sam Soffes, who you may remember from last week's episode where we were talking about Redacted. And Sam, I believe you listened into the show and you said you'd like to share some thoughts. So we were very happy to ask you to join us on today's show. So thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
It's probably been a peculiar couple of weeks for you, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So, for anyone that didn't listen to last week's episode or didn't remember, basically a couple of weeks ago, Sam released an app called Redacted onto the Mac App Store and kind of wrote up some interesting findings about where the app was sitting in the charts and kind of the revenue that it brought in. So, Sam, could you give like a brief kind of what that was on day one, like where you were charted, what those numbers were, and kind of talk about how the app is performing now and if things are going better or worse than before?
Sure. So by the end of the first day, I was number 8 top paid in overall in the US, and number 1 in graphics. And that was only 105 units. So it was like, I don't know, a couple $100. I was like really surprised that, you know, my little app with 100 sales could be number 8 overall I wrote a little post. It was just like, this is crazy. People think the Mac App Store is like, still this like really great thing similar to iOS, and it's, not really the case. And I'd kind of known this from Mac apps in the past, but didn't realize it was like this bad still.
What, when you kind of saw people talking about you on, like, you wrote this post. I mean, I don't know what you were thinking about when you wrote the post initially, but how did it feel to then kind of become part of the news cycle for a few days as people were kind of talking about your post and it kind of blew up? What was that like?
It's kind of surprising. There's lots of different reactions. People, saying like, it was ridiculous that I, felt that I should have made more being this high or whatever. And I was like, that, wasn't at all what I was getting at. I was just like sharing my numbers because I said I was going to anyway before I launched it. And it was just crazy that with 100 downloads on the first day, I could be number 8 top paid. So it was interesting to see everyone's take. A couple podcasts blamed like sandboxing on the Mac App Store, and some podcasts were saying it was ridiculous that I didn't do any marketing, because in my post I just said all I did was tweet it, and which is fair. It was my second day of my new job, so I was busy. But yeah, it was just interesting to see everyone's reaction, but no one really like defending the Mac App Store. Everyone was just kind of like, yeah, this is terrible, and then trying to explain why they thought that was. I don't know. It's very interesting.
So Sam, I was thinking about your strategy to basically don't do any marketing for the app, and still you manage to get in the top charts. And I found that quite amusing because at first I was thinking like, why is Sam not doing any marketing? That seems like it doesn't seem like a good strategy. But then again, I'm thinking, and this app with no marketing, basically with just a few tweets, you ended up in the top charts. Do you think that's the reflection of a problem? Do you think that basically with no marketing, a simple Mac app can still get in the top charts? Do you think that's maybe you should have done some marketing, but maybe even without marketing, you went into the top charts? That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, I mean, definitely I would have had I had time, but as this was like, transitioning to a new job, it's kind of like, oh, whatever, it's done, I'll tweet it, and kind of like forgot about it. Didn't post it to Product Hunt or anything. Literally all I did was like tweet it and went to work. And I feel like of those 100 downloads the first day, most of them are people that follow me on Twitter. So, I mean, great, 100 downloads, whatever. But it was crazy that, that's the top chart. So, I mean, if that's all it takes, then like, sure, if you have like any sizable Twitter following, like a tweet's all you need. It's just pretty nuts. So, yeah. I don't know. I mean, I guess that's good, but like still the next day was like half the sales from the first day, and I was still like top chart and even I think best new app at that point. So at this point it's like, well under $1,000 being like super featured in the App Store. So, yeah.
So as from your perspective as an indie developer, how do you think that, especially not just the App Store, but the Mac App Store, could be better? Do you think there's anything that Apple should be doing to help people like you, even, small indie developers who want to make simple apps and be able to sustain themselves in the top charts, or, just in the Mac App Store in general? How do you feel like the Mac App Store should be improved?
Well, just one extra thought on the marketing stuff. Say I had done a bunch of marketing and it spent all this time or even money on ads and stuff. Like, I feel like I wouldn't have done that much better than I did anyway. Just kind of interesting. I mean, because my best day so far was 410 units, which was when I was like on the front of Mac Rumors. Yeah, I feel like it's hard to get much better than that for like something like, and a bunch of other blogs picked it up that day as well. I feel like it's hard to do better than that, to have like all the major Apple blogs reblogging the Mac Rumors stuff. Like I couldn't have bought that much press. I don't know.
Yeah, because I mean it's a simple utility. It's like, I get what you're saying. Even with a major marketing plan, it's still a very niche application for OS X users. So, but yeah, I understand. I mean, especially indie developers like you cannot just do all the marketing and to think about, I don't know, like App Store, search optimization and all that kind of stuff. You just want to make an app and you want to sell it. And the fact that you managed to be in the top charts, I think that's great, but also a problem. So I was wondering again, what kind of improvements would you like to see maybe in the future?
I mean, I don't really think it's anything Apple's doing that's like causing this really. I mean, like sure they could update the Mac App Store and make it better because like the app's just old and like the design doesn't really match Yosemite that much and whatever. But I mean, sure there's like tools they could add for developers like analytics like we have on iOS we don't have on Mac and fine whatever. I think the main problem is people just don't care about the Mac. I mean, you can even see it in the shift from Apple's keynotes, like less and less focused on OS 10 and like way more on iOS and iOS related devices like like the watch or whatever. And I think just people aren't buying Mac apps really. And I don't know, like maybe that's like a big marketing push from Apple to fix this, but I think it's we're moving more away from the desktop and maybe that's okay and maybe this is just like how it is and it's going to keep going down. And unless you're someone like that's selling an expensive app and a lot of it, you're just not going to do well making Mac software. I don't know.
After you saw kind of the charts and stuff on the first day, did you put? I know that you said you were asking people what they thought, or you had people coming to you and saying what they thought you were going to be earning. Did you think that the numbers were going to be higher than they were?
Yeah, I mean, I assumed like number 8 top paid would be a lot more money, like at least like $5,000. But like, and one of my friends was like, yeah, it's at least 20 grand. And I was like, oh man, I didn't even like think it would make this much ever because it's this little utility.
Time to retire.
Yeah, it's like, oh, it's the second day of my new job. Maybe it's my last day. If I'm gonna make like 20 grand a day for a couple months, like that would be spectacular. I mean, which is totally not out of the question for a top paid on iOS. That's like a crazy amount of money. But I didn't realize the gap was that much, and most people were guessing, like well over $1,000 at least. And I think my total was like, what was it? $302. So, not great overall. So to date, so it came out May 5th. It's the 19th today. My total proceeds are $6,500, which I make $6,500 every week. Like that's not bad at all, but it's definitely going down. My spike from all of the press is definitely like trailing off, and that's fine. That's expected. It's definitely performing around the numbers I would have kind of guessed as far as like number of units. But to have that number of units be in the top charts is super surprising.
Was it a bit of a gut punch, like when you saw the analytics on the second day?
Yeah, I definitely like gotten my expectations up after like going out to dinner and people were like, oh yeah, you're gonna make all this money, and then all these people on Twitter guessing. To realize it was like $300 was, it was a little sad. But I mean, that's more of like what I would expected. Just like the charts, gave me all these high hopes, and it's just sad to see that you can make that much of a splash in the App Store with just so few downloads.
Sure.
So over the years, there's always been some kind of discussion about the benefit of having the top charts on the App Store, because all the popular apps end up in the top charts and indie developers can never make it in the top charts. And this is very true on iOS, but as we've seen with your case and your story on the Mac, indie developers can make it to the top charts, and especially in the top 10. What are your thoughts on the top charts on the App Store? Do you think they're useful as a developer or as a user to kind of discover apps? Have you ever thought about getting rid of the top charts? Would they make the App Store a better place for indie developers like you?
I mean, so I think the alternative to top charts is like more curated lists, either by Apple or by whoever. So now, like, if I'm trying to find a game, I don't really play many games, but sometimes I'm like, I want to go find a game to play, and I'll browse the top charts because I feel like that's a pretty good, like, what's popular, these can't be that bad. That or I'll look at Apple's lists. And I feel like browsing Apple's list or browsing the top charts, like, I'm gonna check both, and that's fine. And if the top charts weren't there, I'd feel like I was missing out. Like that, I'm trusting Apple to like pick the good ones, and maybe there's some indie one that just took off that they're not featuring yet. So I don't know. I think overall, as a user, I prefer having the option to look at the top charts. And as a developer, I think it's great because if once you get in the top charts, you're more likely to stay in the top charts for longer than you're more likely to do well longer than if you weren't in the top charts. So I don't know. They don't bother me per se. I don't know. Do you guys think they should be removed?
It's tricky because, like, I feel from a personal perspective, like, I want more curation and I want to see like better lists of apps and games handpicked by other human beings, because I feel like I trust the taste of people better than algorithms. But as a user, like when I talk to my friends and they don't read Apple blogs, they don't follow, Apple people on Twitter, I just want to kind of relate to them with the latest game, with the latest, app on the iPhone. And I feel like browsing the top charts is a good way to, kind of talk with people, with normal people about software and apps, because everybody's downloading apps. So they're kind of like a simple way to discover popular stuff, but maybe it's it's like this because it's the only easy way to discover popular stuff. Maybe with an alternative there would be another, the alternative would become popular with people. So I don't know, I feel like I use them, but I want another solution. I don't know if it makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, if I could see what my friends are downloading or using, like that would be spectacular. I don't see Apple doing that ever or doing a good job at it, but that'd be great.
I feel like when I can't remember the last time that I found something truly useful or enjoyable for me by looking at top charts. Like I've downloaded stuff that's been in there that I've seen somebody link to, right? Like a game or something. But I can't remember the last time that I was in the App Store, looked in the top charts and was like, oh, that looks fun. I feel like it's full of stuff that is maybe not for me.
I think, I'd have the same experience.
Yeah, pretty much.
Or on the Mac App Store, it's full of Apple's apps.
Yes.
Yeah, Final Cut does pretty well from what I gather.
So, Sam, the last thing I wanted to ask you today, looking back at this, has your opinions changed on Apple's platforms in any way? Like, are you going to continue to do stuff like this, do you think? Or is this an experiment and you've kind of learned something from it which maybe says that you maybe don't want to do this again?
That's tough. Because I've worked on client apps before that have had, over 2 million downloads in a day before and have done super well from that perspective. So, like, being able to replicate that on my own would be, like, pretty great. So that kind of, like, knowing that that's, like, obtainable is kind of a nice, like, incentive. But I think on the Mac, I don't think that that's really a reality at all. Unless you have something that's, $50 plus and can sell a lot of it. It's just not going to do well because the volume's just not there compared to iOS. So, I don't know. I'm sure I'll make some more. I've been working on this Markdown editor called Whiskey for a really long time. And I'm definitely still going to finish it and release it on the Mac App Store. But it's not so much like I want to make a bunch of money with it. It's more, this is something I enjoy working on and would like to sell. And I think that's kind of the attitude I've always had, and then kind of was, thought, it would be great to make all this money, when I saw the charts. But, it's like, well, I'll just keep making stuff because I like it for the Mac. And for iOS, maybe that's where, like, actual business is possible. But now that I have a job, I've been, on my own for a long time and just switched to having a job a couple weeks ago. So it's less of a thing now. It's like, well, I'll make something because it's fun and whatever. But I mean, you can see a lot of folks like Panic left the App Store, and I feel like just Mac apps in general have really, like, the amount have gone down a lot. Even like Real Mac puts out great stuff, and they kind of have been focusing on Clear over all their other things lately. At least from my view, I'm sure they do work on other things, but I don't know. I feel like the Mac App Store is just on the decline, and No one seems to be saying otherwise. So,
Sam, thank you so much for joining us. Where can people find your work and keep in touch with you?
I'm Soffes on Twitter, Soffes, and my website's soff.es. So feel free to say hi. Thanks again for having me, guys. I really appreciate it.
Thank
It's
you.
an absolute pleasure. Thank you for joining us. Right, so Federico, I just want to take our second break here, and then we can talk all about your Apple Watch, which I'm very excited about.
Okay.
This week's episode of Connected is also brought to you by Smile Software and PDF Pen Scan Plus, which is the app for mobile scanning and OCR. With PDF Pen Scan Plus from our good friends at Smile, you can scan documents with the greatest of ease right from your iPhone and your iPad. It is a super powerful, super beautiful app. But one of the great things about this app is because it is an iOS app, it is always with you. When you have the power of an app like this in your pocket, it totally changes the way that you use it. PDF Pen Scan Plus has recently been updated to version 2, and it's a free upgrade for existing users. You can now blast through stacks of documents faster than you ever could before. Basically, all you need to do now is you get your documents, you get maybe your receipts or contracts or bills or whatever. You put them all in a pile. You open PDF Pen Scan Plus. You point PDF Pen Scan Plus, you point your iPhone with the app running at the document, and it does everything else. It automates capturing the image, cropping the image, and setting the size and color depth of the scan. You no longer need to tap anything. You just point and scan. Take the next one, scan. Take the next one, scan. Take the next one. You could just blast through them all faster than ever before. You can export multiple documents at once, so it makes this batch scanning even easier than ever before. And when you combine this with the on-device OCR that will automatically name files for you by date and also lets you grab the text if you're scanning for copying and pasting, you combine this with the fact that you can send them straight up to iCloud and Dropbox, your scans, once you're done. This is all of the scanning and OCR that you're ever going to need on a device that can fit into your pocket. This is mind-blowing. You should try it out for yourself. It's absolutely incredible. This is just one of the other fantastic apps from Smile that I just cannot get enough of. PDF Pen Scan Plus is now available in the PDF Business Kit, which is an app bundle from Smile, which includes PDF Pen Scan Plus and PDF Pen for iPad and iPhone for just $21.99. If you were to buy them separately, PDF Pen Scan Plus is $6.99 and PDF Pen for iPad and iPhone is $19.99. You get them both together for $21.99, so you can scan things with PDF Pen Scan Plus, then you can make amendments to them, you can edit them, and everything in PDF Pen for iPad. This is a super deal. You should go and get it for yourself today. You can find out more at smilesoftware.com/connected. The best scanner is the one that's with you, so go grab PDF Pen Scan Plus from the App Store today. Thank you so much to Smile for their continued support of Connected and Relay FM. Federico Vitici, how long have you had your watch for, and how excited are you?
Okay, so what day? Today's Tuesday, so I believe for 5 days, maybe. Let's check the activity app on my iPhone. So I received my Apple Watch from Germany, thanks to a friend of mine who received my watch and shipped it to me in just about 24 hours. I received my watch on Thursday, on May 14th. So yeah, it's 6 days that I've had my watch, and I have a few thoughts, Mike, and a few questions also for you and for listeners.
I've been so excited about this.
Well, I've been very excited too, because it, a new Apple product in 5 years, and considering what the latest new Apple product, the iPad, did to the way that I work and communicate with people, you can guess that I'm very curious and excited to see what this new gadget can do for me. So if you don't mind, I organized my just a bunch of notes and thoughts in sections. So maybe we want to go through these sections, and I would like to start from the sport band.
Sure, let's do it.
So I bought the sport model with the black band. It's the 42 model with a black sport band. So coming into this watch, and I was kind of skeptical about the sport band because I saw a lot of people saying that it was really sweaty, that it was difficult to strap on, and that it was not the best material from Apple. And I kind of agree and disagree with those thoughts from some people. I haven't found it to be sweaty at all. Like, it's just fine for me. So maybe there must be some kind of skin stuff going on maybe it's different from people to people.
I found that like on some days it might be sweaty if I'm really warm or active, but like I wouldn't call it sweaty. Like a couple of times I've noticed, but like it's I don't find it to be that way either.
I don't know.
And I'm sure, like, after you've worked out, right? If you move the band, there's sweat under it, right? Because that's just what's going to happen. But I don't find that every day I'm like, oh, this thing is terrible. I don't feel that. Yeah. I agree with you completely there. How tight do you have it? Just out of interest.
I'm wearing the medium large band.
Yep.
And I'm on the from the left on the third hole in the band.
Okay, so I have mine on the fourth one. So for me, if I raise my arm, my watch goes up. My watch goes down my arm. If I lower it, it goes down. So like it moves. If I raise and lower my arm, like up in the air right now, the watch will move around. Does that happen for you, or do you have it really tight?
No, it's really tight.
Yes, I don't like that.
No. I like it to be tight. Like I feel like it's sitting on my wrist, and I want it to be like firm in place. Yeah. I don't want it to wiggle around and move. I could go crazy with that kind of stuff.
I've never been like that. For me,
is it not a problem with the sensor, the way that you wear it?
No, I can if I try and get my heartbeat now, it will do it. Which is that works, and I would say I probably feel like 3/4 of the taps, which I feel probably isn't too out of whack for most people.
I don't know. I feel like I would go crazy with a watch that moved, and so I chose to I did a few tests with the position of the band, and I chose to keep it just tight enough not to be, not to basically hurt my wrist. So I feel like this is the best spot.
Yeah, and, I mean, it's not going crazy, but it moves up and down my wrist quite easily. Mm-hmm. But I've been a watch user for longer, and that is how I've always worn watches.
Yeah. It's like your personal preference.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't worn a watch for like a decade, maybe. Especially a digital watch. The last time that I wore a watch, it was an analog one that my girlfriend bought me. And the digital watch I stopped wearing maybe 15 years ago. So it's quite a comeback for me. Anyway, the sport band, it's not sweaty, at least in my experience, but it's very difficult to put on. And this is something that I'm still noticing, because it's kind of weird. Like the part of the band that basically latches onto the other part of the band kind of has to go below, and then you have to slide it to find your, basically the position that you like, and it is kind of difficult, and I'm still struggling to find the best way to kind of rotate my wrist and use my fingers to kind of put on the sport band in the morning. And we just had an article today on Mac Stories by Stephen Aquino writing about the accessibility of the sport band, and he makes a few points about people with disabilities and with motor delays. They can have real issues with sport band, and if I don't have any disabilities, but I'm already struggling, and I'm still struggling with the sport band, so I can only imagine how some people, it would be really problematic for them. But I also understand why Apple went with this design, because when you manage to put on the sport band, it, especially if you keep it tight on your wrist, it never moves, and it's super comfortable. So I can understand why they went with this design, which, by the way, seems to be like one of the Mark Newson iPod, or the name iPod, the watch company that Mark Newson had. So it's a design that has been around for a while, and I understand it. It's just a bit difficult for me.
It's interesting. I wonder if it will get easier, because I have now I have developed like just a way that I put it on. I can do it one-handed. I'm doing it right now. So like, watch goes over, I just tuck it under, I clip in the pin, and then slide it through.
How do you clip the pin?
I just I grab, so I'm holding the strap with my forefinger and thumb.
But you have those really long fingers.
Yeah, see, I might be at
you have an advantage.
So then I with my middle finger, I'm now pushing the other side up, and I'm holding it in place, and then I just clip it in.
Yeah, this is one of your moves. I can replicate that. So I have a thought about getting multiple bands for the Apple Watch. So I got the black band, which is, it's a sport band. It's fine. I go out with the sport band. I don't care. Black goes on everything. It's no problem for the way that I usually dress. I usually have black t-shirts or white t-shirts anyway, so it's fine from a visual standpoint. But I'm wondering, maybe I want to get, even if I have the space gray Apple Watch Sport, which is the cheap one, maybe I could get, one of the unofficially supported fancier bands for the Apple Watch, the steel one, and still use it on my Apple Watch Sport. I don't know, maybe I could get the black link bracelet, or maybe something fancy like the leather loop or whatever it's called. And I'm thinking, maybe I want to, maybe I should think about in the future having two or three bands to kind of swap around, and so I can go with the best configuration that I want for any given day or occasion. But you know me from Virtual Mic, and you know how I'm seriously affected by the paralysis really of choice, of having too many choices. And I've been thinking about this problem. And I kind of I've been considering the way that I relate to this problem, and it's like I see it as some sort of like the Pokemon effect. So because I know myself, once I get an additional band for the Apple Watch, just like Pokemon, I want to catch them all.
Yeah.
I want to have them all, like
Sure.
a collection. This is also why I'm not buying the Amiibo figurines from Nintendo, because otherwise something is gonna trigger in my brain and I will want to have them all. So, because I will know that once I get, the Milanese loop, maybe I want to get the leather one, because, hey, why don't you like the leather one? Get the leather one. And so I'm thinking maybe I should just stick with the sport band. Life will be easier for me. My wallet will thank me, and it'll just be a black band, and it's fine.
So, I mean, I still want and will be still getting a Milanese loop. But I agree with you completely, because now I also want a black sport band. And I'm hoping I'll be able to buy them both in San Francisco, because the sport bands, they're like 2-week shipping now in England. Like the Milanese is like 8 weeks, so I'm just not going to buy it yet. I'm going to wait until I can go out there. If I can't get it, I'm just going to order them both. Like if they're not available, I've seen, everyone's been saying June, so I mean that is June, so maybe I can get it then. But so I'm going to wait and just see.
Nice.
What I can do.
It is true. You are inclined to buy multiple bands.
Oh, definitely.
Cool. So the next, I kind of want to talk about software now, because I don't feel like there's much to say about the hardware. The digital crown
okay. So you say about the digital crown, but what do you feel about the weight and stuff? Like, how do you feel on your wrist?
It's fine.
Yeah?
It's super light. Mm-hmm. Not a problem. The sport band, it's very, very nice. The screen, it's great. I think I can kind of see the pixels if I put it up close to my eyes. But I really have to look at the screen. It looks like a Retina display most of the time. I think it's awesome. It's super light, comfortable. I do think it's kind of Like the charging system is genius, but I want to buy a stand because I don't like it like it rolls on the side because I have no charging stand or accessory, just the cable.
So my top tip,
Mhm.
I have some like we call it blue tack here. So what you put on the back of a poster to stick on the wall.
You put the what on what?
Right. You know posters that you put on the wall,
Yes.
right? Do you have anything there that is kind of like it's like an adhesive, but it just comes right off again? Like you use it to just tack things to a wall. So you're not putting a nail in them or anything like that. You just use something to stick it onto a wall with, but you can take it off and there's no damage to the wall.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we have stuff like that. It's called blue tack. Maybe you should Google it so you can see what I'm looking at here.
Blue tack.
But I stuck some of that to the back of my charger, and it's just stuck to my bedside table, and it's perfect. Doesn't move.
Oh. I've never seen, like, I know what this is. Not sure I've ever seen it used by my family or friends in Italy. It's kind of like one of those things that children play with.
Yeah, I guess so. But this is more. It's kind of like that plasticine, but it's like that, but it's used for this kind of stuff. Blue tack, I believe, is like a brand name, so you'll be able to find something in Italy which is similar, and that I believe you'll find, Federico, is what is known as a life hack that I have just given you there.
You should start a blog.
The life hack blog.
The British life hack. I don't want you to be sued by Lifehacker, so please don't follow my advice.
We don't have. I don't know what you're talking about. I've never.
This
heard
is
that
my
name.
personal disclaimer for you. So, Mike. Anyway, the hardware is fine. The digital crown has a very like smooth feeling, and it's like sometimes I find myself just scrolling the digital crown for no reason, just because it feels good to do that.
Yep.
No. I don't know. Just it's very nice. I want to talk about the software.
Sure.
I feel like software and apps are the big part for me. So let's just get this out of the way. You were right about notifications.
Cool. And
being, receiving notifications while you don't want to pull out your phone and you don't want to be distracted. And there's many software features of the Apple Watch that I want to talk about, but notifications have been the biggest surprise maybe for me, because I didn't think that my lifestyle would adopt so quickly to not using my phone to check on a notification. So I found myself leaving my iPhone in my pocket, or maybe on my desk or on my kitchen table. And I'm doing stuff around the house, right? Like maybe I'm cleaning the house, or maybe I'm making lunch or dinner, or I'm cleaning the espresso machine, whatever. And I get notifications, right? I get notifications from iMessage, from you, Steven, from Slack. I get pushover alerts from stuff that happens on the internet. Like today, I got a pushover notification for the WatchOS update. And I get tons of notifications every day. And I try to come up with a list of stuff that I deem important to me, that I never want to miss. So I went into the Apple Watch app for the iPhone, and my suspicion was confirmed. I don't get the big deal that people were making in the initial Apple Watch reviews, that the notification settings are broken. You just decide what you want to activate or deactivate. I understand the idea of having more granular controls, but I think the critic of notifications was way overblown. Anyway, I went into the Apple Watch app. I enabled a bunch of notifications for apps that I find important to me, and so this was Thursday. I was immediately like blown away by the feeling of taps and sounds. This is one of those things that I couldn't quite remember from my demo at the March event in San Francisco, because the demo room was very loud, and there's people bumping around you, and there's people taking pictures, and then like there's a guy behind you that wants to really see the Apple Watch, so it starts pushing to see the demo table. It's messy, and I couldn't get the feeling of the haptic feedback and the sounds. So those are really, really nice. And I especially like the sound of the iMessage notification. But one thing that I noticed is that the taps from the Taptic engine were really weak, or at least weaker than I expected. So initially, like, I was concerned that maybe I got a defective unit. But then quite a few people on Twitter told me that they're just supposed to be these, like, gentle. They're really soft. And maybe initially, like, I couldn't feel them all the time, so I turned on the prominent haptic setting in the Apple Watch settings, and, like, I feel like the initial vibration before the tap and the sound helps in, like, getting my attention. But with time, and by time I mean 6 days, I've found that the notifications that don't have the prominent, like the pre-alert, such as the move progress or the stand progress during the day, those are just taps. And now I can feel them just fine. And I think I'm getting used to like taps, and like the fact that they're weak. That was just, I think, the first couple of days. Now they seem to be fine, and maybe I've adjusted to the kind of tactile feedback from the Apple Watch. And this is also true in the opposite direction for phantom taps. So the first couple of days I was sure I was getting like ghost taps, but instead I was getting nothing. There was no tap. And now, like, the sensation of those invisible taps has gone mostly. And so I feel like as you start wearing a wearable device, you need to adjust a bit to, taps, vibrations, and that kind of stuff. And I feel like I'm in the middle of this process. I feel like now I can understand taps and vibrations better. But what I'm really impressed by is just how much I depended on pulling out my phone and to check a notification and then being distracted by something else. So I open Slack because I receive a Slack notification, and I end up inevitably doing something else in Slack and talking to people, opening links, and sharing GIFs,
And then 2 hours later, you're back out Slack again. That is kind of the way it tends to be. And
this happens with, Twitter, iMessage. Imagine all the notifications that you get. And because, you're using your phone and all your apps are there and you unlocked your phone already because it's so easy with Touch ID, and now you're using apps, so why not go check out Twitter, why not go check out email, RSS, and you're wasting time and you're being distracted. And in using the watch and making like an effort to really try to understand the watch, I feel like I'm free in a way. Like, my phone is in my pocket, and I know that I can use my phone if I want to or if necessary. But my watch is on my wrist, and I can just look at my watch when I get a notification, which is, way more elegant as a solution, the tap and the sound as a loud sound effect on your phone, distracting other people, possibly. And I get a notification. I can just raise my wrist and I can take a look at the notification, and at that point I can decide. And most of the time I can just look at the notification and just be, okay, so this happened, right? So this thing is going on my phone, and now what am I doing? Maybe I'm, doing dishes, or I'm making lunch or dinner for my girlfriend, and I'm like, okay, whatever, this happened, I will deal with it later. And I feel like the form factor, because it's a watch, and the software, because the apps are limited, they help me kind of in this mindset of new information is available on my phone, but now I'm doing something else, and I need to finish what I'm doing because I don't want to be glued to my phone all the time. But this is not just some kind of hippie way of thinking about the Apple Watch and notifications, and like, I've found a new way of this new age of notifications. It's just a practical approach. Today, for example, I was shopping with my girlfriend, And as we were shopping, I got a bunch of notifications from you and Twitter, and I just checked the notifications, and I just continued shopping and enjoying my afternoon with my girlfriend. But at some point, I got a notification from Pushover, and it told me that there was a software update for the Apple Watch. And that was really important because it was the first software update, and I knew that when that happened, I needed to be ready for Mac stories. So I told my girlfriend, and so of course this I checked on the Apple Watch, and in a couple of seconds I told my girlfriend, and she told me go ahead and just post it on Mac stories. So because I've been, preparing for this time of just using the Apple Watch and the iPhone, I made sure that all the blogging tools and scripts and workflows that I have on my iPad are also on my phone now. So since the notification, in just 2 to maybe 3 minutes, I chose to use my phone, and I created the article and I published the article on Mac Stories with the screenshots and everything. So, and that was like, it made me think, because most of the notifications, I continued with my day and I dealt with them later. But with the important one, the watch helped me make a decision. And it wasn't like I was walking around the store with my face on inside the iPhone, just being totally distracted and not enjoying my day. I was using the same device, only, most of the time I ignore notifications. It's not that I ignore them. See, that's wrong. I see notifications, just in a more concise environment that doesn't incentivize me to be distracted by the phone. So that's been like, I'm still exploring the notifications that I want to receive, how much I want to be aware of stuff happening on Twitter and my website and Slack. But I already feel like when you were last year, when you were talking about the feeling of having notifications on your wrist, just quickly glance at notification and go on with whatever you're doing, I feel like you were right. And so whether it's shopping and you're walking around the store and you just want to look at notification, or maybe I'm in the kitchen and I'm doing stuff and I just flick of a wrist and I'm looking at a notification, I feel like there's a very much a solid potential there. And not just a philosophical potential, but it's very practical. I keep coming back to the idea that all this is just practical. It's just, I want to do stuff, and I want to work and I want to enjoy my day, and I feel like the app, and this is a bigger topic than just notifications, but I feel like the Apple Watch is helping me in both cases, and notifications is just one aspect. Is that enough about notifications, Mike?
Yeah, I'm pleased that you spoke a little bit about that, and I'm really happy that that you have found them to be useful in this way. Like that makes me happy, basically.
Awesome.
Because because me and you spoke about this for a while, and I think that you were never really sold on it, and I was always convinced that you would understand it once you used it, because it does need that. I'm happy that has been the case for you, because I was convinced that it would be. So I'm happy to feel like I wasn't crazy.
Yeah.
And that Mike was right. That kind of stuff.
Yeah.
That how important that is to me.
Yes. So the second big aspect for me is all the fitness features, and because I've been talking about this stuff for a while, and I believe that a wearable device that is on your body basically, and that has sensors and can understand your movements and habits, can really be helpful on a daily basis. So there's a bunch of thoughts here. The first one is, this is very nice for what people call the gamification of fitness and health features, and I feel like I'm I'm making an effort to stand up more, to just walk around. I was already the kind of guy who walked around the house quite a bit during the day, even when, because I use the iPad and I like to stretch myself during, work times. And I was already doing that. But the Apple Watch is helping me visualize that, the stand activity. And I feel like that's really helpful because maybe like when you work at a desk, it's easy to forget that maybe you want to go outside for a couple of minutes, catch a fresh breath, and maybe you want to go to the bathroom. It's important to kind of have breaks. And I feel like the Apple Watch makes it easy to have these breaks, and they can be healthy, I'm sure. And the fact that I can see them in this ring interface, it is really helpful and nice. And I like all the visual breakdowns and the end of the day, to be able to see charts and to be able to see when I don't stand up because I'm sleeping. So that's really nice. As far as the workouts are concerned, so lately I've started doing indoor cycling again because I need to walk to work on my leg muscles as part of my physical therapy routine, and so I've started doing indoor cycling again. And so the workout app on the Apple Watch has been quite helpful for two things. The first one is to be able to see my BPM as I'm on the bike, and that's helpful because maybe I need to slow down. There's a control on the bike that can help you make it like tougher or easier. And the BPM is a good metric for me to understand whether I'm like going too hard or not. But what's really nice is that I can just focus on my workout. The Apple Watch is on my wrist. I don't have to care for my phone, basically, because I used to keep my phone in my pocket, but I needed to have a whole setup for my earpods, and I've always I dropped my phone a bunch of times when I was either on the indoor bike or on the treadmill. It was always uncomfortable to have, especially with the iPhone 6, which is bigger. And now I can just look at my watch. It tells me the elapsed time for the workout, and it tells me we actually progress in the middle of a workout, which is very nice. That it gives me a tap in my halfway point. So that's really nice. But the best part so far is not related to the workout app or the achievements or the activity app on the phone. Those are super nice, but it's still, I believe, early for me to judge because there's a bunch of achievements that you can unlock, and I want to see how the activity goes. Not just in a window of 6 days, but maybe in a window of 6 months. So we'll talk about this again in the future. But I was really impressed by the media control glance on the Apple Watch. So I like to work out with music. And in fact, I'm receiving my Bluetooth earbuds tomorrow. So far, I've been using just the Bose, what's the name of a portable speaker that I used to play music? I believe it's Sound Mini, maybe? Is that a name? I don't know.
The Bose Bluetooth sound thing.
Yes.
There we go.
Google that.
The sound thing.
Take my word for it. It's a real thing. And so I've been using that. And it's awesome to me that so let me back up a little. When I used to do the indoor cycling or just the treadmill to walk and run, it's terrible to use the iPhone to switch music, to play and pause, to skip songs. I know that you can use the physical controls on the earpods, but I don't exactly like the earpods. And it's awful that to look at the screen while you're on the bike or maybe while you're walking and sweating, and you want to focus on what you're doing, not Spotify, for example. I really like that I can just look at my watch and there's the glance for the media controls. They work with any app that uses, basically any app that shows up in Control Center. I can adjust the volume, I can skip songs, play and pause, and that's it. And that's super helpful to me because once I choose a playlist, maybe I want to skip songs, I don't have to use my phone. I can just use my watch and my hands continue to be free. And I don't risk of dropping my phone, of course. So that's really nice. And I'm a big fan of the media, the remote glance, I think it's called. Also, when I'm driving, I'm not distracted by the phone, or I don't have to switch songs only when I'm at a stoplight. I can, just because I know where the tap target is, I can just unlock my phone and my watch even without looking, and I can just switch songs, and that's really helpful. So I'm very excited by the fitness and workout stuff on the Apple Watch, and as I start doing different types of workouts, I'm interested to see how the Apple Watch can understand what I'm doing, and I want to see how the activity app on the phone gives me data and helps me visualize my progress over time. Right now, it's nice that the Apple Watch gives me weekly reports about my goals and my workouts. I want to see how maybe a year from now, what kind of features they will add to provide more context to my progress and to my activity. It's a total... I don't ever want to buy another fitness band ever again. That's for sure. Like, I've been thinking about the Fitbit and the Jawbone. I don't ever want to buy one of these things again. I'm a believer of having a single watch with a bunch of features rather than dedicated accessories.
Yeah, I'm not up for wearing a smartwatch and a fitness band. Like, it's just not something I want to do.
No, I'm using the workout app, and I'm looking at the activity app on the Apple Watch. I'm never gonna, unless it's some major revolutionary breakthrough of a fitness band that can read your mind. Basically, I'm never gonna buy another fitness band or step counter or whatever. I just want everything on my watch, and I want everything on my watch because it goes to the iPhone, where it's all my apps are. And for example, yesterday I was tracking my meals in LifeSum, and maybe it was the other day, not yesterday. Anyway, I didn't have to configure anything. It just pulled my workout calorie count from the Health app from Apple, just because I use the Apple Watch. I didn't have to log in to anything. It just worked out of the box, and it was awesome. That's one of the advantages of an open model, at least an open technology to developers. In this case, it just works out of the box. You don't have to give your account information to anybody, or even worse, you don't have to be constrained by the limitations of the Fitbit ecosystem, which is, they decided not to go with the HealthKit technology. So if you use the Fitbit, you gotta stay inside the Fitbit, or you gotta use one of those few third-party integrations. Today, I can, with the Apple Watch, with HealthKit, it's just this data is available to anyone who want to use it on my iPhone. And I found that as a user, I found that to be incredibly respectful of my data and of my choice of the apps that I want to use. So yeah, I'm gonna keep using the fitness and workout features on the Apple Watch.
Cool. Let me stop you, Federico, to have our final break for this week, and then we'll finish up with some more thoughts about your time with the watch so far. How does that sound?
Sounds perfect.
This week's episode of Connected is also brought to you by Igloo, the intranet you'll actually like. We're talking about new devices, right? This is a thing that we're always thinking about. And we spend a bunch of money on this stuff, and when we buy new devices, like we buy new iPhones or buy new Macs, We want to be able to use these products, these lovely things, these beautiful things we buy, and look at beautiful things on them. It's like, if you buy yourself one of these new MacBooks, right? That I know a lot of people are talking about these, or when iPhone time or iPad time comes around. When you take a look at these devices and their beautiful screens, you don't want something to be looking at back at you like it was built in the 90s, like nobody cares about the software or the sites that you're looking at. And if you're looking at an intranet product on your own device, on some sort of lovely device that you've bought, and it looks like it was built in the 90s, that sucks. Nobody wants that, and this is where Igloo comes in. One of the things that I really love about Igloo is also the idea that you can look at it on your own device. I mean, typically, intranets are like locked down, horrible things on corporate PCs that you can't do anything with, and then these environments that are shielded from the world. But Igloo can be looked at on any device that can connect to the internet, and it makes it really easy for people that you work with to be able to do the work that they want to do wherever they want to do it. And that's what's really great about Igloo. It's one of my favorite features. You can customize Igloo to look exactly how you want. You can make it look fantastic, and with their responsive design, it makes sure that this device and any changes that you make are carried to all of your devices. But being able to look at that everywhere and anywhere, that's super cool. You can share files, coordinate calendars, provide status updates, and manage your projects and tasks. Igloo is not just for your traditional intranet stuff like HR policies or expense forms. It also lets you work better together with the people in your team. Like, for example, they recently added the ability to track who has read critical information. So you can set a document or a post or something that is critical, and you can see who's read it, right? So you can make sure that everybody that needs to have seen a particular piece of information in your company can see it. It's kind of like read receipts in your email. It helps you keep track of whether employees are reading and acknowledging policies or signing off on legal agreements or training materials and stuff like that. Igloo continues to blow my mind because it is a product that is constantly being added to and updated. This is not something you see with stuff like SharePoint. It is like Igloo lives in 2015 and it's going to continue into the future. If your company has a legacy intranet that looks like it was built in the 90s, you should be giving Igloo a try. And they understand that love doesn't just happen overnight. So if you sign up right now, you can try out Igloo for free for any team of up to 10 people for as long as you want. So you can try it for free if you have a team under 10 for as long as you want. So sign up right now at igloosoftware.com/connected. Thank you so much to Igloo for their support of this show and Relay FM. Federico, tell me what it's been like using some apps on your Apple Watch so far. What has your experience been?
Again, not as terrible and doomed as most people on Twitter were saying.
Well, I mean, so
they're slow, but they're not unusable.
1.0.1 has come out today, and this could be a placebo effect, but I do feel like apps are loading faster for me now.
No, the glances are just so much faster. It's ridiculous.
I feel like that stuff's being retained in memory for longer. I feel like that's one of the things that's happening, because I can launch an app, go back to app number 1 and it loads well, but then maybe if I come back to it 20 minutes later, it just takes a little bit longer to load again, but still much, much faster. But like saying about the Doom thing, and I know you make a joke of it, but it has been terrible. I've taken 2-minute videos of spinners for you, trying to show you stuff.
I don't know why I've never seen that kind of stuff on my watch. And I have the same first version. The only difference that I can think about is that on my phone, I have the iOS 8.4 beta. That's the only difference between you and me. But I've never, ever seen a spinner that long.
Right. Well, I mean, whether you've seen them or not, it is happening, or was happening.
Yeah.
But
it's not
it's
because
frustrating.
there were people saying using apps on the Apple Watch is useless. And I don't think that's the case. I agree that the app screen on the Apple Watch is not the main experience. And I agree that I spend most of my time with the watch, at least, again, in this first 6 days, using notifications, the watch face, and glances, and the Friends interface. But it's not like the app screen is useless. And in fact, this may sound totally crazy. And again, I've never, it's never been a problem for me to share unpopular thoughts, and I've found myself enjoying actually enjoying reading email, Twitter, and news on the Apple Watch. So I'm not doing this just to prove a point, because I have a few real life situations that I brought to the show as examples.
Yeah, I feel like you need, because when you say things like that, right, it makes it sound like you're just sitting there all day now. Just,
No,
that's
not
how
at
you
all.
read Twitter. So I need you to explain to me.
Okay, yeah. The other day, I went to a bar, so to a coffee shop, to you non-Italian people, to have an espresso. And as I was waiting, so usually you gotta wait 40 to 60 seconds for an espresso at a bar here. And in those 60 seconds, I could have, as I've always done, I could have taken my phone and, started using my phone as I was waiting for the bar owner to make my espresso. And as the espresso was ready, what I would have done was I I could have stirred my espresso with a bit of sugar with one hand and kept using the phone with the other hand. And I wouldn't have enjoyed my coffee at all. So in those 60 seconds instead, I just opened Nuzzle on my Apple Watch, and I saw that there was a bit of some news about Apple in my Twitter stream, and so I just checked the headlines, couple of paragraphs. I was like, okay, cool. And then my espresso was ready, and I totally enjoyed my espresso. And I wasn't that guy with the iPhone at the bar drinking the espresso, because see, this is the other thing. I feel like the Apple Watch is helping me be less rude to people. It's always rude when, especially when you're buying something and they give you, like, I don't know, maybe a coffee or a slice of pizza, and you're totally absorbed by your iPhone, and you're like, oh yeah, thanks, and you're still looking at the screen. With the watch, in that coffee example, I feel like when I saw that the espresso was ready, I didn't have to fumble and put my phone in my pocket, or to keep looking at the phone and get the espresso with the other hand. I just did it naturally because it was a watch. And so that was one example. Today, as I was shopping for clothes at my nearest mall, where the Apple store is also located, and where an Apple employee looked at my Apple Watch, because, I think he figured it out that it was an Apple Watch, not a regular Android smartwatch. Anyway, as I was shopping, I was in line at the cash register and to pay, because we do pay with cash still. And as I was waiting, I there was a couple of people that I had to wait for. And instead of, again, pulling out my phone, I opened Twitterific on my Apple Watch, and I checked for my mentions and DMs on Twitter. And when it was my turn to pay, I didn't have to do anything. I just, it was a watch, it was already there, so I just kept using my hands to pay with cash and to hand off the T-shirt that I wanted to buy to the store employee. And it was natural, and it was out of the way in a second, because it's already on you, so you don't have to put it away. You just have to stop looking at it, which I think it's easier because it's a watch. And the final example that I brought to you for your consideration, Mike, is the crazy traffic in Rome. So when you drive in Rome, I drive quite a bit every day. And as you drive in Rome, there's the traffic lights. And some traffic lights can go on for several minutes, because even when the green comes on, maybe there's so many cars in front of you that you're not going to make it till, the next green light. So there's especially one traffic light near my house that I need to wait usually like 3 to 4 minutes. You move slowly, and, it's a very slow process. And usually, because it's not like you're totally stuck, you move slowly, car after car after car. And usually I have to admit that even when I'm moving super slowly, I check my phone. And I know that it's wrong, but because it's so slow, I check my phone. But it's still dangerous because even if you're moving slowly, you can end up being distracted by, by your phone and maybe hitting another car. That fortunately that never happened to me, but I've been concerned by my habit of checking my phone while moving very slowly at the traffic lights. With the Apple Watch, because my hands are already on the steering wheel, and because it's meant to be like a shorter, brief interaction, I've been checking email at the traffic lights, and it's fine. I've been using this beta of the new Riddle email app called Spark, and I have it on my watch, and I think it's convenient to like check email for 10 seconds and then to continue doing what you're doing. So it's not like I'm sitting at my desk and making an effort to use Twitter, email, and read news on my watch. That's insane, because when I'm at my desk, I either use my iPad 90% of the time or I use my phone. And if I have 5 or 10 minutes free, I use my phone anyway, because this is the main point. I don't want to use the Apple Watch for everything. But I do believe that there are some parts of my life where I was using the iPhone and I was being either rude or distracted, or I was being absorbed by apps and notifications, and instead, in some parts of my life, some moments of my days, and some situations and contexts, I feel like having a watch as a more discreet device is better for me. And I feel like I'm already in these 6 days, I've enjoyed like being around people more. And today, like, I cannot describe the feeling of shopping and just enjoying time with my girlfriend and not having to check my phone all the time. And it's not like I didn't have free will before. I've always been able to say, yeah, I don't want to check my phone. I'm not stupid. I'm not being forced to use my iPhone, but it's human nature, and you're tempted, and you're inclined to check your smartphone because everybody does. And this is the big if of my discussion today. If these 6 days are of any indication of what the Apple Watch is gonna look like in my daily life going forward, I think it'll be a major change in terms of how I do fitness, how I wait for notifications to come to me, how I take advantage of brief moments of availability, whether it's a traffic light or whether it's waiting for a coffee. And I feel like not having the phone all the time and not being tempted by the phone because you trust the watch to bring you important stuff, it's important to me, and it'll be like it'll make a deep difference, a very sharp difference with before. And there's been other examples of, like, the other day I was at the beach. And when we go to the beach, I give my phone to my girlfriend because she can keep it in her purse. Because I don't trust my pocket. They're kind of loose, and I don't want my phone to end up in the sand. So when we wanted to leave the beach, every time I ask my girlfriend, "Hey, do you have my phone?" And she has to go look in her purse, and she's always annoyed. The other day, as we were like, okay, just go back home, and we were leaving the beach, and of course I was like, where's my phone? Does she really have my phone? So on the Apple Watch you can use the settings glance to ping your phone and to play a sound effect. So I just played a sound effect, and the phone pinged in my girlfriend's purse, and she wasn't annoyed by my request of looking inside her purse to find my phone, and it just worked like magic. Or I was also at the beach, and my phone was also in my girlfriend's purse, and my mom called me. And instead of struggling to find my phone and responding to my mom, I just talked to the Apple Watch, a phone call on the watch. It totally makes you look like a spy. And
yeah, I do it at home. I do it at home quite
it's
a
amazing.
lot now.
It's amazing.
Because I usually, when I'm at home, I just put it on loudspeaker. So this is just kind of the same thing. And I don't need to go and grab my phone from wherever it is. Like, I like doing that.
Yeah. So I just wanted to my conclusion to be a general note that we'll follow up. We'll circle back maybe in a few weeks. We'll see. So before buying the watch, there was a lot of excitement, and a lot of hope for this new device. And it seems to me like it's become some kind of a trend to be cynical, to be not excited by new technology. Because maybe for some people it's kind of cool to always be unimpressed by new tech. And I'm not saying that it's not right to point out flaws, because I'm the first person to always want better or more or simpler from iOS and Apple hardware. But it's just, there's some underlying negativity, I think, with the Apple Watch and maybe with the wearable talk on Twitter and blogs in general. I feel like some websites and some writers and some people in general, they think it's maybe cool to be unimpressed and to be, I don't know. I mean, it's a computer on your wrist and it's awesome. And you can have phone calls and you can check your heartbeat and you can get taps from friends. And it's a totally new device with sensors and it looks great and it's light and it works with your iPhone, which is the most amazing device ever. And I'm giddy with excitement. And
I feel lucky because the places that I check and read and listen, I don't see that stuff.
Oh, I'm jealous.
And it might be, I don't know, I don't read as many sites or whatever as you, but from the majority of people that I know, everyone has their complaints. I have my complaints, and I'm sure that you do yours as well. And then maybe they'll take a little bit more time to come out still. But there are things that frustrate me about this device.
Yeah.
But on the whole, I really like it a lot. And I'm very happy with it, and it's becoming a big part of the way that my computer life works, I suppose.
I feel like more people should be more excited more often. I like optimism. I like, especially when it comes to new technology, new gadgets, and stuff that matters to people, like workouts and fitness and health features. That stuff is important, and you cannot write off this stuff with meh, I don't care. It's just wrong to me. This is stuff that matters, and to have technology on you, to have whether it's an Apple Watch or Google Fit, on Android Wear, it doesn't matter. This is exciting times, and I'm always kind of the happy guy. I like new tech, I like new gadgets, I like iOS and new features, but this is really like a major change, and it's a new device, and everybody used to be crazy when Apple released a new device, and maybe this time, because maybe Apple is also more popular, I've seen some people being bored already by the Apple Watch, which I think is crazy, because it's I've never been this excited and curious and interest in a new device in years. So yeah.
I'm pleased you like it. Try not to worry about negative people, Federico.
No, it's not that I worry. It's just, it worries me that they can't be happy.
It's quite, I'm sure people are happy.
Why can't why can't they be happy?
I don't know.
Or optimistic? Like, stress makes you age more quickly. Did you know that?
People are allowed to like what they like, though.
Sure. But they're also
This isn't going to fit for everyone, though, is it?
I feel like you're entitled to your opinion. But to me, it seems like some people that I follow on Twitter, especially, this is especially the case on Twitter, which is just in general, it tends to be a negative place.
It's a cynicism machine.
Yes.
Yeah.
So this is mostly the case on Twitter. But I feel like people are, of course, entitled to their thoughts, and I don't want to say they're wrong, but you're also entitled to be the silly guy, excited by new stuff and to smile because you got a tap on your Apple Watch. You're entitled to be the stupid person who's excited by, getting a ping on your wrist by a friend or getting an animated emoji because it's fun. You're entitled to fun as well, not just serious, cynical, oh my god, I'm so bored tech analysis. It's good to have fun with tech. That's all I'm saying.
We should start a new web series, Fun with Tech, with Federico Vitici.
Yes, I'm up for that.
Federico Vitici teaches you how to have fun with tech. Right, I think that about wraps it up for this week's episode of Connected. If you'd like to find the show notes for today, you can head on over to relay.fm/connected/40. Federico, thank you for joining me.
No, thank you for having me for like a year now, Mike.
If you'd like to find Federico's work online, you can do that. He is over at macstories.net, and he issues his tweets into the cynicism machine he's at Vitici, Viticci, and I'm at imike, IMYKE. Thanks again to our sponsors this week, Linda, PDF Pen, Scan Plus from Smile, and Igloo. And thank you most of all for listening, and we'll be back next time. Until then, say goodbye, Federico.
Arrivederci.